Things in nature merely grow. I think what that means is that there isn't necessarily a reason for everything. In nature, things are just going to grow. Why do they grow? Well, that's because that's their nature. That's what they do. Things in nature merely grow. So this is a book by Yiyun, who is fast becoming one of my favorite writers. It's a memoir, so a nonfiction, telling not the story of, but the sort of events around and her feelings and experiences, and more than anything, a collection of facts and thoughts that she's had after the death of her second son. I'm not going to recount the story in the book, or not that the book is a story, but I feel like it's sort of her story to tell, and if you want to find out about it, you read the book. It's not my place to take her experiences and put them in my own words, but she did lose two sons to suicide, both of them teenagers at the times of their deaths, and this book is a book about that. It's not a self-help book. It's not a book to help people get through grief. And I emphasize the word through there. It's not a book about a journey of getting through a hard time and sort of with an optimistic ending or anything like that. In fact, it's clearly states that this is not something that someone gets through. There is no period of grieving and then you clap your hands and stand up and say, okay, I'm done now. I'm back to being normal. She says in this book that there is no now and then or now and later. There's only now and now and now. She's going to live with this for the rest of her life. This is not something that you can go through. This is something that just is. So like I said, I'm not going to go through the book. It's not my place to do so. I don't even want to. I feel even weird saying the names of her children. I don't feel like not that I've earned it, but I don't feel that it's too personal for me. Someone's name for me to even say their names. These children that I don't know and I never will know. I think the book is, I don't want to use the word useful, engaging, informative. I think it is informative. That's certainly something. Especially the part that really sort of got me going was her talking about how other people have reacted to her experiences and how people are so incredibly self-centered and selfish and always turn this on themselves, and just some of the horrible things. If nothing else, it's a book that can tell you, if you know someone who experiences some sort of extreme loss, these are ways that you should not act, and these are things that you should not do and you should not say to this person. It's very important for that purpose. And I think, it's not even remotely comparable, but it reminded me of someone in my life that I had worked with who, whenever I'd have just a complaint like, oh, my car broke down, or oh, I'm so tired today, or oh, I think I'm getting a cold, just like, normal complaints where I sort of expect a normal person to empathize or even sympathize a little bit, but this person would always immediately make it about them and then change the subject totally. So like, oh, my car broke down. Oh, my car broke down last week. Yeah, it was such a pain. And then immediately go to something else. Or, oh, I'm starting to get sick. Oh yeah, I've had this cough for weeks. Oh, it's awful. And then go off. Like this person seems to only understand things through their own lens, and they have no idea. It's like it almost is kind of a solipsism, a subconscious solipsism, where someone says they're experiencing something and they sort of interpret that as, oh, I know that thing, and so I must blurt out that thing so that this person recognizes that I know what they went through, and then I can talk about myself. Experience is so subjective, and no two people are going to have the same experience, whether it's something as pathetic as cars breaking down or loss of a loved one. I remember just last week I was at a funeral and someone had passed away and their granddaughter was there, and I remember thinking like, oh, my grandmother passed away a few years ago and it was really hard for me, and so I had a thought that I'll say, I know what you're going through. I lost my grandmother a few years ago. And then I immediately stopped and said to myself, like, no, I have no idea what they're going through. This, even though we lost a relative of the same sort of degree, I have no idea what they're going through. The experience is so totally subjective. The relationship that has been severed and lost forever could be totally different than the one that I had with my grandmother. So I think it's just that this book helps be aware that people experience their own experience, and trying to sympathize is human and is natural. You want to make them feel better, but you have to realize that what you think makes someone feel better is not the same thing as what you would want done to you in that same situation. Because everyone's so different, you have no idea how the proper way to go about that is. And in this book, the author says that for her, it was just people being honest, people saying things like, well, I have no idea what you're going through. I have no idea what to say or what to do for you. Like, if you need something, ask me. But just that honesty of, wow, like this situation, I can't even comprehend it. That sort of truthfulness, the author seemed to appreciate. Now, does that mean everyone who's going through something like that would appreciate that kind of honesty? No, because again, experience is subjective. But I think you do need to be aware of more experiences than your own and more perspectives and viewpoints than your own. The author said a lot of very interesting things. I'm amazed by the genius of this person, the intellect, the writing capabilities, just everything. I'm like, this person is so smart. But she said something about how people are really worried with doing and less with being when it comes to children, which really made me think. Like, we think about what do you want to do when you grow up. It's all about doing something, working or performing some activity. It's never what do you want to be, or if you are asking someone what do they want to be, you're probably meaning what sort of a career do they want to have. So do you want to be a doctor, be a lawyer, be a teacher? But again, that's sort of a doing. You do doctoring, you do teaching, you do lawyering. It's not what someone is. It's still more what they do. And I think we should, of course I don't have children, but if I ever did, I would want to raise them trying to find out what they want to be and how they want to be, and not just about what they want to do. I did think it was a very beautiful book, and there's not much else I can say about it. It's very short. I do highly recommend it. I love how, now I haven't read the book she wrote for her first son who had committed suicide, but she describes him as being a very feeling person versus her younger son, who is a much more of a thinking person. And the way she describes these two people, I mean, she's their mother, of course she's really going to know them, but I felt like she knew, or she knows her children on a level that not a lot of people do. And like she did, from what I can understand in the book, she did everything she could for these children. She gave them everything. They're quite an affluent family. They went to the very best schools. They traveled to Europe and to all over the world, and they had access to all these psychiatrists and therapists, which the vast majority of people will never be able to afford to see a therapist in their life. But even despite all of this, these young boys chose to end their lives and chose death over life. And I don't know what that sort of says about humanity and childhood and modern society and so many things. I mean, this is just sort of one case, and are the deaths linked, and is it linked to the mother's previous suicidal tendencies or suicidal thoughts or actions? I don't think those questions matter as much. I don't know, I'm kind of just rambling now, but I do appreciate that the mother sort of accepted that these children chose death, and she's a very thinking person. She doesn't rage and grieve violently and feel. She sort of describes herself as going straight to the thinking, the critical, sharp, hard thinking phase. If phase isn't the right word, because that's, like she says, she inhabits that place, that abyss. She describes it as in perpetuity. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. It's not, I don't want to say it's a heartbreaking story, but it really is. It's a really somber, honest, not brutal, but a harsh. No, it's not even brutal or harsh. It's, in a way, it's kind of a beautiful story of like a mother talking about her children. I don't know. I feel like I can't say anymore. It's a story that needs to be told from the only voice that can tell it, and that is Yiyun. So that is Things in Nature Merely Grow.